I'm about to reach the edge. This is the far west of Galicia, a place so wild and remote it's become almost mythical. This lost world is home to some of the most extreme isolated points on the continent, and we're exploring it all by four-wheel drive. There's a tree blocking it as well. Couldn't have got up here if I'd wanted to. Abandoned villages, crumbling ruins, and the rugged Atlantic coast, where the cliffs drop straight into the sea. The mission: reach the northernmost tip of the Iberian Peninsula by four-wheel drive. This is Spain's true Wild West. No tourists, no tarmac, just storms, solitude, and the long road west to the edge of the world. This is Galicia. I've been pushing west for months on this four-wheel drive expedition, forging a pathway through some of the wildest places on the continent, and it all feels like it's been leading to this moment. The far north of the legendary state of Galicia, where Spain frays and falls off into the ocean. This isn't the end of the road for me, but it feels like the edge of something. A wild frontier land, the edge of ancient empires, where even the Romans struggled to retain a foothold, and a distinct culture and even a different language separates this place from the rest of the country and the peninsula. This is frontier land with ancient roots, an extremity of empires for generations. You can feel it in the gravitas of the place, taste it in the salt from the sea that batters this rugged land, and see it in the ancient architecture and in the faces of those who inhabit this place. This journey has never been about ticking boxes or visiting well-known landmarks. It's about what's not in the guidebook. The wild tracks, the half-lost history, the weird, the weathered, the forgotten. I came here to explore the wildest frontiers of a destination that the world thinks it already knows, to pick at the edges and see what's hiding beneath the surface. And today, I've got something rare on the roster. My map is saying there's an archaeological site, like an ancient prehistoric dolmen of some type. So definitely gonna go and check this out. I'm not following a trail here, I'm just making my own way through. I'm really enjoying doing this at the moment, just like getting into a network of tracks, like hundreds of kilometers of off-road trails, and just going and seeing where I end up. And it's spitting out some really cool and interesting things. I've been given local directions passed down in vague, half-remembered trails to the site of a Neolithic burial mound. Ancient standing stones raised between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago, buried somewhere deep in this forest. Accessible only by 4x4, this dolmen is recorded only in local folklore and legend. Older than the Egyptian pyramids and long forgotten in a lonely corner of Galicia. We're gonna see if we can find it. Big mud holes, these. This is low range, this one. Wow. Okay, so the dolmen is down here, down this four-wheel drive track. It looks impassable. I think it is impassable. So yeah, I guess we switch off and go on foot from here because there's a tree blocking that pathway, in addition to it being really, really waterlogged. So yeah, we'll just leave the car on the trail. Like, this is properly in the middle of nowhere. Hardly anybody comes down here, you can tell. Yeah, you can see here that this is properly waterlogged and blocked. So I'm just going to check out my map here. So it's kind of, yeah, it's in that direction. We'll go and check it out. Leaving the Land Cruiser behind, I struck out into the forest on foot, guided by my GPS. So like through the woods, and here we go. Wow. So this is it. No way. How fascinating. This is like a ledge that's been supported by stones here. Man, so this is a megalith. These have been parts of a wall, I think. And this has been like the roof of a building of some kind. There's part of it here as well. Plantations of trees to just kind of destroy this, because obviously this place has been raked over for forestry. And I imagine it's taken a bunch of damage as a result. Yeah, this whole thing goes way underground as well, like this that I'm standing on. This is all part of it. I don't know if you can really tell on the camera, but it's a big like hump hill in an otherwise very flat environment. So this is the part that we can see, but I'd imagine that it's been a structure, a megalithic structure, and it'll be right beneath our feet right here. This is the only part that's visible. That is fascinating. It just goes to show the prolific nature of these things in the Iberian Peninsula. I mean, it's megalithic, so it's likely to be plus 10,000 years old, I would think. Think about that, like 10,000 years ago, humans were here, standing where I'm standing right now, building this thing for God knows what, whether it's a home, a village, religious significance of some kind. But that is just something, isn't it? Think about that, 10,000 years ago, maybe more. And now I'm here in my Land Cruiser on a four-wheel drive trip through the Iberian Peninsula. Like, man, like worlds colliding and converging thousands of years later. This is wild, man. This is a wild, wild trip. So this is the four-wheel drive track that we chose not to go up. I'm pretty glad we did, because this is rancid, stagnant water. Oh, backed up water. And nevertheless, there's a tree blocking it as well, so couldn't have got up it if I don't want it to. Unless I've been willing to chop that, which I'm not. Alright, so I guess we continue through. This is rad. This is so cool. I pushed on through the waterlogged forest, following a meandering four-wheel drive track, tracing the infinite line of the trail on my GPX map, trending northwest out towards the Galician coast. My objective over the coming days is a full circumnavigation of the rugged coast of Galicia, but the real mission is to reach the northernmost point of the Iberian Peninsula via four-wheel drive. Estaca de Bares is a rugged spire of rock that falls off into the Atlantic Ocean and one of the loneliest, most extreme points on the continent. On the same peninsula lies an abandoned Franco-era military base, built during the height of the Cold War, and now lying in ruins and open for exploration. Talking about the weirder and wilder side of adventure travel, this is just about as good as it gets. But first, we've got to get there, through about 200 kilometers of rugged four-wheel drive. You think, is that an abandoned house? Or is it inhabited? Oh, that looks abandoned to me. Oh, let's go explore it. Yeah, this is very, very abandoned. Oh shit, this brush is really deep. Man. So it's interesting, these things here are like Galician versions of those oreos, the ones that we saw further to the east. Wow, this is actually really difficult to get down to. Huge wall here, look. Trying to get down here by shimmying down the tree, I feel like it's a bad idea. Oh, there you go. God. So, they're absolutely beautiful. This is obviously for the preservation of produce and corn and such like. But look at the way that they're hewn out of the local granite stone. It's really fine craftsmanship. And they're all over the place. Wow. Obviously this is really hard to abandon for a long time with this level of growth. Man. I honestly don't know if I can get in there. There's so much growth here. I need like a machete or something to be able to get through. So cool. It's huge, huge house. Wow. I can't get through. The weeds are as high, well, higher than the door, look. Number 2, it's like loam and stuff up from the forest floor, so it's making it more difficult to explore these places. In summer, it'll be basically impassable, I would think. Wow, this is a huge building. Man, it fascinates me as to how, you know, these places end up, like, for one, why they were there in the first place, and 2, how they end up abandoned. Like, this is a multi-unit house. Right. Yeah, this side's a bit clearer, so might be able to get in through one of these windows if we want to. Wow, look at this huge lily. It's beautiful, massive. There's tons of them. Wow. Creepy. Creepy as hell. Actually, don't think I can get through that tiny little window, and I can't get through the top ones either. Yeah, it's well defended. Get through here. Oh man. Okay. Right now. So this is like a road with. Look at these, mate. Once upon a time, this would have been a grand walled entrance path to this house. It's like a pathway to the house, built out of stone. This is a really old building. This is how long it's been abandoned, like all the trees and brush just growing in the middle. These dry stone walls. Whew. Bloody hell. Oh. Yeah, that was a mission and a half, that one, and I failed. Okay, so I've popped out down on the cruise a considerable amount. Jesus! Absolutely fascinating. Which makes me wonder about, like, why is it here and how has it become forestry land with trees planted all around it. Okay. Yeah, we'll go back in here. Carry on along the trail. Oh, just about knackered me out. I thought it was going to be easy to get in there, but it was borderline impossible without a cutting tool. Oh. So right now we're heading downhill, and I think we're going to get a really good view of this little town that's on an estuary that's kind of separating the eastern part of Galicia with the very north, like the extreme northern point, which is where we're going to be going to go to the extreme norte punta. So far today, I've been keeping to Galicia's interior, following a vast network of forestry trails, but the coastline is mere kilometers away. My goal today is to reach the headland and make a start on this trail network that will take me up the rugged coast before dark. Galicia has a way, though, of forcing you to slow down. Whether it be the four-wheel drive terrain itself or the enigmatic ruins of past civilization that dot this wild land, I find myself regularly too enthralled with this mysterious province not to take my time and explore this place properly. I stumbled upon this complex of historic abandoned buildings just off the trail and pulled the vehicle over to take a closer look. Makes me wonder what this has all been. Wow. How cool is this? huge oak beams. Man, and look at the workmanship on here. The granite hewn stonework. Wow. No way, dude. How incredible. That's been like an old fireplace. I think possibly an oven or some such. But look at that. Look at the size of it. The chimney up there. And this has been added later as some kind of, I guess, to make it smaller. But God, can you imagine this? It's been like a great hall or some kind of like grand building. Look at the stonework on these columns. Absolutely gorgeous. Imagine a huge crackling fire in there, burning away, and the people inhabiting this area kind of like living around here and warming themselves and cooking their food. And here's a sink and worktop, all hewn out of granite as well. I guess this would have been the kitchen. Yeah, they would have been filling this up for washing dishes or preparing meat or whatever. Man. Whole complex of abandoned buildings. This has been a stable, you can tell. That's where you would have mounted up onto your horse on the steps. And here we've got smaller little houses. Man, look at this. This has been another fireplace here. It's sort of fallen away, and I guess the stone's been taken. You can see it's distinctive, the soot marks here. I've been having fires here to keep warm and cook. And over here, another one on the other side. Man, look at that. I guess there would have been a column to support here at some point, but it's been taken away, and another sink with a drain hole there, all hewn out of local granite. Man, this is so cool. And it just goes on and on. Look at these fireplaces in all of them. So evocative. These are all little cottages, I guess. God, look at this, man. Hundreds of years old. So this has been the bread oven. Look at this. So this is where you would have had your fire. And then in the back there is where they would have baked all the bread. Probably for this whole complex. Man. A little alley between the houses, and it just keeps on going. Oh man, I guess that's been a storeroom of some kind. What a place, bro. No way. Fascinating, honestly, it truly is. Man, makes me wonder what it all was. It almost looks like a barracks, or I don't know, like a mining community that's been totally abandoned. Amazing, absolutely amazing. The things you stumble across, like I'm not even on the trail right now that I planned. I pushed on along the trail, paintwork screeching as I forced the Land Cruiser down ancient, overgrown drovers' routes and long-forgotten, tight, dry stone walled lanes. Wow, sick. As the sun performed its late afternoon arc through the western sky, the meandering trail took me down to the coast. I began to catch glimpses of the glittering sea through the trees, and after another spell in the dense forest, the woodland fell away for the first time all day, to expose at last the coastline of Galicia, the stuff of myth and legend. I'd spent the night camped up in the forest and awoke the next morning to a bright sunny day, energised and ready to tackle the final push to my goal, the most extreme northern point of the Iberian Peninsula. Today is not going to be easy. Ahead of me, I have over 100 kilometres of 4x4 tracks, serpentine and winding as they hug this ragged coast. Man, there's some kind of old house on the island, whether it's a lighthouse or some such. Man, this is sick. Wow, so as I pulled up there, huge rainstorm just came in, like big dark cloud from over the land actually, and then passed out to sea. You can still see it over there, over the rainbow, right on the surface of the sea. It's incredible. This is just special landscape, this. Like a sandy trail cut into the mountainside, right on the cliff here, on what is one of the most extreme points of the Iberian Peninsula. Wow, man. Absolutely spectacular, and a new frontier for the Iberian Trail. Just crushing kilometres on sandy trails along the coast, the wild, rugged Galician coast. This is honestly what dreams are made of. This is so much fun. It's so cool. And so remote as well. You know, I've been out here for the last hour. I haven't seen another soul. I imagine I probably won't all day. I picked my way along the high coastal four-wheel drive route, cut precariously into the cliffside, right at the point at which the hills fall off into the ocean. I continued this way for mile upon mile, following the curves and contours of the headland as it snaked its way to the northwest. This is, without a doubt, one of the most spectacular drives on this trail so far. So I'm right now driving along a coastal trail that takes me all the way around the rugged headland of northwestern Spain. the most extreme points of the peninsula. Man, like, I had no idea that places like this even existed in Spain, man. Mate, just look at this. And just like that, there it is. My goal for the last weeks, finally in sight. And this is the northernmost point. So we'll be there when I've gone all the way around this headland to the left, which is south. So this thing juts out right into the north. Probably, mate, camp, I think, up on the peninsula of the Estaca de Bares. Yeah, this is awesome, man, honestly. What a day. I'm now pushing on into the afternoon. With the peninsula in sight, this has just gotten real. But I still have a lot of kilometers off-road to kill, all the way around the headland before I make that peninsula. En route, I stopped to explore a ruin on an island in the sea. The ragged old skeleton of a fort or stately home, blasted by wind and salt, and lashed with waves, still standing testament to lives once lived on one of the most extreme points of the continent. I passed by spectacular coves with golden sand and azure blue waters that could have been mistaken for a tropical island if it weren't for the brutal crosswind coming in off the Atlantic that felt like it was harrying me along and urging me ever northward towards the northernmost point. On the next cove around the headland, I diverted off the trail to go explore an ancient monastery hermitage, built over 1,000 years ago by monks who valued the very same isolation and extremity of this place that I've come here to feel, over a millennia later. It's an old ruined hermitage. It's called Ruinas de San Tirso. So these are over 1,000 years old. Damn, dude. That is pretty cool. So I guess this has been like an altar or some such religious significance. Wow. Incredible, brother. What a view, man. Wow, thick wall this. Man. So we're right now on top of the archway. It's a funny thing being here, where people lived out their entire lives back in the day. Probably generations of people. Now it's like a rack and ruin, you know? It's like a crumbling edifice on the seafront here. Testament to what went on 1,000 years ago as well. It's almost incomprehensible. I pushed on along the trail, picking my way along the headland via four-wheel drive tracks, sometimes right next to the coast, and others higher up in the forests above the sea. True to form, the weather is mercurial and merciless. One minute there's bright sunshine, and the next a thunderous squall. The sky's blackening, and the rain turning the tracks to mud. Damn, this has been raked over by heavy plant recently. Whoa. Okay, so we just stopped here at a mirador. That is just spectacular. So that is just straight up cliff's edge. Need to be careful there. Man. So cool. Like beaches like this, just like forgotten little coves. Imagine like smugglers landing in these places back in days gone by. Like, there's no access to that beach. It's just like a cliffside and then a little tiny beach there. Like, Galicia is, without a doubt, one of the loneliest and most spectacular places I've been on this continent. Truly out on a limb into the Atlantic Ocean. This is a land shaped by its isolated geographical location and the self-reliance of its people. My trail continued, winding its way through ancient, tiny villages, mixed with brutalist concrete 1940s era construction. The only evidence left of the dictator Franco's attempts to fortify this area in case of invasion. I pushed on into the late afternoon, mile after mile of forestry trails, passing by under my tyres. I broke briefly for a quick lunch on the road. I just cooked it up in the back with the roof down, which I hardly ever do because I don't like doing it, but yeah, it's beans. They each come with like a little bit of chorizo, a little bit of morcilla, which is another type of like black chorizo, and some pancetta or pork belly or whatever the hell it is. So I've just done that with what's left of my bread. Really easy, quick, and filling road meal. I'm just gonna kind of like eat it like that. This is real life on the road, both spectacular and the antithesis of glamour in equal measure. Rugged cliffs falling off into a broiling sea, and a tin of beans heated up on a gas stove in the back of the car. This is another really rugged piece of headland. This is just so awesome, dude. And we've driven all along this headland here, from that part right in the distance. It really is going to be tough to beat this trip. With my destination just a stone's throw away, the most northerly point of the Iberian Peninsula right ahead, I put the cruiser back into gear and pulled out onto the trail, determined to reach this thing before the sun goes down. I entered the base of the peninsula at 6 PM after days of pushing along this coastline. Now it's a straight shot northwards to the Punta di Estaca di Bares, the point that I've had in my sights for weeks. This is truly wild land, and right from the outset, the trail is hinting at what could be ahead. Wow, train track to the right there. Woof. Wow. Innocuous to look at from a distance, this track is well washed out and brought me to a stop as I scrambled to drop it into low range. It's a low range there, for sure. Jesus. Real deep washouts there. Fucking hell, I'm gonna have to go down into it. Initially, I'd picked a line that I'd hoped would allow me to circumvent the deepest parts of the washouts, but I now realised that that was going to pitch me over onto an angle that was going to be untenable. I would now have to reverse and take another shot at this. Freaking hell. Oh shit. Nasty angle, that one. I picked my way through and pushed on. This is real low-lying, soggy ground, and you can tell that a lot of water moves through here because of the absence of any topsoil in the track route to the left. Regular moving water has washed it all away, and I imagine that this track probably turns into a river on the regular during heavy rainfall. Wow, beautiful. That's a bridge under the railway. I pushed on up the peninsula through a mixture of low-lying farm tracks, these railway service routes, and spectacular coastal cliff trails, overlooking the Atlantic and the very tip of the peninsula. That right there is where we're headed. The deeper I pushed into the peninsula, the more weird and wild things became. Colossal edifices and old military structures, abandoned and left to rack and ruin, overgrown with vines and creepers, gave this place the feeling of a lost world. And at last, after days of pushing, I emerged onto the very tip of the peninsula. a wide plateau of wind-blasted land, and up ahead, the abandoned military base. I think this is one of Franco's Atlantic defences. Wow. This is cool, man. Yeah, this is case in point, 1960s, 1970s. Jeez. So this is where we are on the map. I just want to show you this briefly. So we just went up to the point there. I'm going to walk up to the northernmost point of the Iberian Peninsula here. Yeah, this is where we're at here. This is the military installation. And that here is a pillbox, I think. Wow, the wind is... Nah. You know, it's an interesting thing. All of the world's most extreme places, I've been to a lot of like points like this in various different continents, and they all have the same feeling. I can't really describe what I mean, but it's like an air of like extremity, of loneliness, but also, I don't know, there's something magnificent about it and brutal at the same time, you know? I would later learn through research that this place had been an American military base. Built in 1961 after an agreement between Eisenhower and Franco, which brought the Spanish dictator's regime in from the proverbial cold after World War II. This base had served a crucial role in asserting American dominion over Europe and the Atlantic Ocean after the Allied victory in the war. This had been an uneasy partnership between a fascist regime and a democracy. But after Franco's support of the Axis powers during the war, Spain had been internationally isolated and shunned, and by the 1950s, the country was on its knees economically. As the Cold War got underway, a common enemy emerged from the east. Communism, ideologically opposed to both fascism and democracy. The threat of Soviet power consolidating led to the previously unthinkable, and a deal was done between dictatorial Spain and the post-war American government. Spain would receive military assistance and equipment, food, and huge grants to rebuild its economy, while the Americans would get de facto military control over Spain, with permanent military garrisons and bases, including this one. This looks like it's got a couple of chimneys. It might have been barracks or something along those lines, I think. Oh, forgotten worn steps. Wow! This is freaky, man. Whew. Damn. Looks like it's been like a boiler room or something. Yeah, look at that. It's been like a furnace. So presumably this has been a boiler room and they burnt coal in here to heat the place through radiators and that, I would think. Man. Wow, fireplace here. So this has probably been like a gathering point, I would think. My God, can you imagine? This is all 70s, look at the style of it, it's classic 1970s. And they've been burning stuff here, and this is where they would have hung out, whoever inhabited this place. Vivir lo que hacemos existir. Eso es todo. This is, it asks the question to live. All we can do is exist. That's all. Pretty existential. Jeez, man. Somebody has been at this with a sledgehammer. Oh, I get it. They wanted the steel. So the walls have been heated. Man. How about seeing all this abandoned in the bright sunlight? Like, this is a place that feels like it should be in constant gloominess and cloud, but it's not. It's here in the cheery sunlight. I made my way slowly back to the Land Cruiser, passing through the decaying barracks and bathrooms of this skeletal concrete fortress that once exerted such power over the surrounding area and the Atlantic beyond. I think I've seen enough of that. Let's head up to the lighthouse and then the northernmost point after that of the Iberian Peninsula. We're so close. I put the Land Cruiser in reverse and pulled back slowly out of the military installation, taking one last look at its crumbling form and graffiti sprayed walls. I pushed the cruiser back out onto my trail to finally reach the northernmost point of the Iberian Peninsula. Okay, so entry into the lighthouse forecourt is unfortunately forbidden with the vehicle. So we're going to have to get to the most northerly point of the Iberian Peninsula via foot. Right, I'm just steeling myself up to do this because I feel like it's going to be hella windy out there. The whole car is rocking. So yeah, let's just do it. Oh man, yeah, that's windy. That is what you call windy, mate. Wow. Alright. Yeah, that's a serious change of weather. And look over there, big black clouds coming in. Over the headland it's still bright. Yeah, that is bloody windy. Seriously. I wish I brought a base layer or something like that because it's actually freaking cold. Lighthouses are always weird places. It's I don't know whether it's like the energy of people who used to be here or what, but they have a melancholy about them, and they're spectacular in the same vein. Imagine like a deployment out here as an old times lighthouseman. It would have been, you know, you come out here to an extremely remote peninsula and you man this thing for months, you know, maybe even years. Some men stay their whole lives out here, you know. That in of itself is fascinating to me, you know, like imagining people living their entire lives out in these extreme. That is it, the ancient lighthouse. Beautiful building, hewn out of that very same granite that we see everything else hewn out of. A cast iron dome with glass. But back in the day that would have been lit by a torch, either gas or maybe even on the older ones like a fire, you know, and then the prism going round to refract and reflect the light. Yeah, look, think about those men out here living out their lives in a lighthouse like that, in the service of seamen and mariners all along this coast, you know, to prevent them from wrecking their ships, floundering, losing crew, to drowning on these rocks, on the rugged headland. Bloody hell, the sacrifices that used to have to be made. It's incredible and humbling, you know. And here we have it, the northernmost point of the Iberian Peninsula, right here. That's easterly, and this right here is the northernmost point walkable on the Iberian Peninsula. Oh wow, just like that. We did it, set ourselves a challenge and we accomplished it. Feeling pretty good. Actually, I think this is probably the northernmost point specifically that you can walk to. Whoa! Oh my, that is something. And man, when I think about how I've come here behind the wheel of my Land Cruiser that I built from way over there, thousands of kilometres, right over there in the north of England, across the ocean, and now here I am having driven here to the northernmost point of the Iberian Peninsula, from northern England to northern Iberia. So this is one of four. Well, this is one off the list, but now I'm the basket having conquered it, the northernmost point of the Iberian Peninsula. That wind is bringing rain with it, and I can see it right up ahead. So to get down to the car. As it turned out, the black clouds I could see on the horizon would be no ordinary weather system.
Heavy rains continue to rip through Spain.
Record-breaking storm hit parts of Galicia, Cantabria and Asturias. Winds up to
Evacuation of several neighborhoods.
Regions of Spain are also experiencing severe weather.
Winds up to 100 miles per hour recorded. Storms continue to hit parts of Spain.
Galicia, Cantabria and Asturias.
Areas such as Galicia.
Storms continue to batter parts of Spain, and severe flooding continues in several Spanish cities. Municipalities evacuated.
All of a sudden, boom, bottomless mud. Trying not to roll the car in the process. Oh my god. He's trying to winch me into this. Okay, so that's the car. I've been stuck before, but not like this. This is the worst storm to hit Spain in decades. Entire towns evacuated, roads flooded, and trails vanished. Oh my god. This is the most insane recovery situation I've ever gotten myself into. A nightmare situation for any overlander that's threatening the future of this expedition and the vehicle. I actually don't know what we're gonna do. Right back into it. This is a freaking nightmare, brother. By the time I realise how deep I am, it's already too late. Completely sunk, you can see. Jesus, worse than ever, man. Like every time during this recovery, I've underestimated just how saturated the ground is. The car is in mortal danger. I'm gonna lose light again, and I'm gonna have a freaking struggle. This is like my last Hail Mary, really. Quite honestly, mate, I think we're gonna struggle here.